good. So the next thing we're going to do is put the cover on. I was going to turn my flashlight off, but I think I'll leave it on because it's such a bugger to get on and off. Now we want this, we want the cover. There's the cover. We'll put a little bit of lube on there. There already is some lube on that needle roller bearing. And this is why it's got a bleed screw in here, because it's just to get the last bits of air out, because the pressure will come up through this cavity here and through the thread, but then you'll have an air pocket here, so that's why they put a bleed screw there. I think. I don't know. Land Rover, isn't it? You never know what's going to happen. Now, try not to knock the shaft out again. Put some seal around it, some white grease around there. Right, I've got the, before I put the cover on, I'm going to put this in the vise. We're going to make sure that this is all operational. So don't let this pop up or pop out, and keep your eye on the bolt here. So originally our starting position was here. That was correct, everything's good. That's 69mm from there. We turn this till it's halfway, so the wheel is in line with 90 degrees to the selector shaft is 90 degrees to the worm. That's when we know that this is halfway here. Now this is the tricky bit, because we've got to put the cover on and then set the height of the selector shaft. But we'd, like I say, we don't want to move it from halfway. Now I'll show you a little trick in a minute, but I'm going to put the cover on. I've already greased this up. I'm going to wind that down. Now listen, this is a very interesting piece. This is held on by a Torx, and it's, what is it, a T, what is it? Oh, of course they don't write it on the actual body, they write it on the top. T27. Wind it down. Winding it down. It's a bit fiddly. Now you want to get that cover so it goes in. Now we're going to put the bolts in. Like that. And then we're slowly going to turn it down on the bolts and on the washer, so the shaft pokes through but doesn't come out of line with the worm. This is the tricky bit. This is why I said putting it back together is a bit tricky. The shaft will start to come out the bottom. Just make sure it's still turning. Hasn't come out of a mesh. Make sure that the seal hasn't jumped out, because we're getting to that stage now. Looks alright, feels alright. Take your time. That's still turning nice. So what we'll do now is we'll tighten those bolts down to 50 Newton meters. Then we're going to put it back into the back onto the bench down here. Now you can see I've got my wheel on here just to spin it over a lot easier. Get rid of them, we don't need them. Now if you've noticed at the bottom of some of these steering boxes here, there's a threaded part. This is where your drop arm goes on, because it's got a notch out of here, and this is where your steering box is centralised. Which way around does it go? Yeah. So if we to turn this to here, that's, you see where the slot is? Right. There. Can you see the slot there is in line with that hole? If we put a bolt, so I've got this bolt in there, but it's too small. It's hitting the here. I'll go and get a bigger bolt. I should have said a longer bolt, not a bigger bolt. We'll wind that down. Doesn't have to go all the way. It's just that is our reference point to set the backlash on here. Right? So how much backlash have we got? Well, actually it's not too bad. So we can wind this in and out. Keep watching this wheel as I'm turning it in and out. I think that's it. But for now, for testing purposes, because I don't know really where it is, well I do know where it is, but that feels nice for backlash there. I don't think we're going to get it any better than that. Take this bolt out of here. I cut an old drop arm down because it was easy to manage. That's that. The next thing we're going to do is try and put the lock nut on here. Now I'm going to use the old one just in case I make a boo-boo of it. So I'll put that lock nut on and tighten it down a little bit, so then we can get on with the last bits. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to put our little wheel thing in here, half moon, whatever you want to call it. Just give it a quick wipe off, got some more grease on it. That piece, drop it in there so the round piece is pointing to you. And we're going to put this screw in. I haven't put the cover on the end yet, there's a reason for that, because it's a bitch to get in and out. And if we have to take it to bits again, well, we're screwed. Now putting the screw, I should have mentioned when you put the screw in, just like I say, make sure the selector shaft is halfway, because if you don't and you start playing around turning the shaft, it can jump out of mesh and then you have to take it all to bits again. Look how easy that is to go in now when it's all clean. So I'm going to tighten it up and then back it off just a little bit, and that should be it. Now there is ways and means of torques and things like this to set them up with, but you don't want it too tight Like if it's too tight like that, it'll make it tight for steering. So just back it off a little bit, and that's so it's in mesh, the teeth are in mesh. So then we can tighten up this little grub screw. And that's that. So that's that done. Now if I just put this on loose on here, no matter what spline it is, and you might be able to see the relationship between this and this turning. You see that? Let's do a zoom. Probably cock this up. But there. So you can see that this is moving, but there's no backlash. It's not tight. Right, so that's good. Next thing is trying to get this cover back on. Right, so this is the bit we're going to be putting in next. I don't like this bit. Honestly, I don't like this bit. So we've got our cover with the O-ring in. There we go. Now, tippity tap 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 with a hammer. Now perhaps you can see what I was talking about. This cap now has gone deeper than the ridge. Now once it gets pressure built up, the end will force it against the snap ring and hold it in place. Now getting the snap ring in is joy in itself. Where the hell have I put it? I think what I'll do is I'll try and get a pair of vice grips round here to hold it whilst I try and force it in. I don't know if it's going to work, it might do. So I've got the end held in with some vice grips around about here. I think what I'll do is I'll get several pairs of vice grips. Now perhaps you can see the dilemma, because you've got to try and lever that ring in, and it doesn't seem to want to go in, and I can't remember how the hell I did it last time. I think I put another pair of grips on there and just forced it in with some grips. Another pair of grips on there. Hey! It's in. That was fun, wasn't it? Now, the ring now, when we knock the pin out, it's in line here. This PC is in line, so that's good. The cap is further down. Once it gets pressurised up, it'll pop back out. So we're really just about ready to go. But all we've got to do now is put the cover on. Oh no, we're going to paint it first, aren't we? But we'll put the seal in. We'll put the seal in here, and I'll just find a socket to tap this in with. What size is that? 13/16 fits great. Of course we haven't got a circlip, so we'll have to use the old one. That's a bit grubby, I'll give that a sandblast up. Right, should have put some tools away, shouldn't I, while I had a break. Circlip in. Make sure that's snapped down. This is the low pressure side here, so it's not too bad, but it still wants fastening down. Yeah, we'll paint it up when we're ready, but now that's it. So I'll put this on the test bench and run it up. But